Dear lovers, this is the real life Cupid, and you're here with Wrestling with Entertainment. Love, Doug.
Starting on the news, not so great news. As maybe a lesser known name, but a name you maybe should know, has passed away. Jack Venigno.
Jack Venigno, yes. Jack Venigno, known in the Hispanic wrestling uh, community, one of the few Hispanic wrestlers to be NWA World Heavyweight Champion. And if the name sounds familiar, it's because Venino was a name in the Dominican Republic, but not a name anywhere else. He had a hardcore following in the Dominican Republic. And some of you may have heard this story before, but September 7th, 1982, Jack Venigno challenging Ric Flair for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. The match ended when Venigno applied a signature sleeper to Flair, with the bell ringing to signify the expiration of the time limit, as Flair's arm dropped for a third time. This was apparently supposed to be a a screwball finish and not and give doubt as to was Flair beaten or did the time limit expire. However, the crowd was so raucous, so rowdy, and ready for. They were ready to rip Ric Flair apart. And it probably one of the biggest audibles in the history of professional wrestling. Flair just tells Venino to beat him so that Flair can get out of the ring, get out of the arena, and get out of the country safely. That's how devoted the Dominican Republican wrestling fans were. Yes, the fans celebrated the apparent championship win of Jack Venino. However, the title change to this day is not recognized by the NWA. Um, and Flair would eventually get the title back. It would be surrendered back to Flair after Venino could not travel uh, to defend it. He would not, or rather, he refused to leave the Dominican Republic to defend the title. Um, there's been a documentary on his life uh, titled Jack, La Historia de Jack Veneno, um, produced by Venino's protege Benjamin Irish. Yes, that's his actual name. Um, Venino retired from wrestling fully in 2000 and actually got into politics. Ran for the mayor of Santo Domingo Norte, North Santo Domingo.
Wow.
Uh, and in 2007 was appointed the Vice Minister of Sports by Dominican Republic President Leonel Fernandez. Um, there is April 2019. There was a statue was erected in Venino's honor in the Eugenio Maria de Hostos Park in Santo Domingo, and April 6th, after a long battle with pancreatic cancer, stage 4, Venigno unfortunately passed away at the age of 78. Some accomplishments, in addition to being NWA champion, which we will recognize, uh, Dominicana de Espectáculos light heavyweight championship 6 times, Intercontinental heavyweight champion 2 times, World Tag Team champion 7 times with 5 different tag team partners. Uh, Dominican Wrestling Federation Caribbean Tag Team champion, Dominican Republic heavyweight champion, national welterweight champion as well, and WWC World Wrestling Council in right there he goes, North American Tag Team Champion with Jose Rivera, a a name that most likely you'll probably see in a WWE Hall of Fame legacy class before an actual Hall of Fame, and it's unfortunately it's a shame, but I mean, then again, it's been a crazy couple of days for non-wrestlers as well. So,
That's correct. Um, and it sounds like, such a great legacy. And if anybody wants to see that documentary, you know where it's available?
it is available on the internet for free. Um, it was never actually apparently completed to its entirety, but the footage was released on the internet. Don't know if there's an exact collection. We're still looking. Um, but if and then once we find that, we'll see if we can put a link out. Um, I also
Absolutely.
think I also think another unfortunate passing. I think we have to at least acknowledge because he's come up in a couple of conversations in our interviews with indie talent, and that's the unfortunate passing of DMX.
That's right. I believe he passed away yesterday.
And that's just, uh, I mean, uh, DMX is from New York, from my part of New York, part of the Def Jam. Uh, a couple of people mentioned uh, DMX coming out to music. I know, and this is why I'm kind of I'm kind of sad Kaliko is not here to take the reins on this one because Kaliko could say much more about this than I probably ever could.
Right.
So, so next week,
Maybe we'll do a little something more next week when
yes,
Kaliko is actually back in California. And of course, our thoughts and prayers go to both men's uh, friends and family. Now getting back on news because it is WrestleMania Saturday. It was
uh,
announced
yes,
yesterday that Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks will main event the night one of WrestleMania, and Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley will be the first match on the card as well. What are your thoughts?
You know, we uh, and, and by the way, happy birthday to Bianca Belair. Uh, it was her birthday yesterday. Um, this started out as an attempt to get a hashtag to trend,
Seems like it
and
worked.
it worked. But I don't know how many. I don't want to. I don't want to cause a tiff here, but did this? Does this match have the build to really close out night one of WrestleMania? A lot of fans, from what I've read, don't think so because it's not necessarily a dream match. It will be a great match, but it hasn't
Possibly
had that
Bianca's
real
crowning
main event.
moment.
Yeah, but it hasn't had that main event build, the attention that a main event match should really have.
So
I
this
mean,
might be the first WrestleMania main event that kind of has a cold coming.
yeah. Uh, not and speaking of the women, a another match added. Tag team turmoil
You know,
for the
on the
women.
pre-show.
I you know, oh, they mentioned the women's tag title match happening on Sunday night.
Probably the pre-show as well.
Um, no, it is on the show.
Oh, alright. I mean, it took them
It
a
is on the
really long
show.
time to make that match official. I mean,
There were rumors of that this was gonna happen. Lana, Naomi, Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose, Riot Squad, Natalia and Tamina, Billy Kay and Carmella.
that's an eclectic little group there, if I
It's
say so myself.
it's the entire remaining women's roster at this point.
Yeah, just about. Um,
But
we're going, on the end of the show with Bianca and Sasha, and whether or not that match had enough heat to be the main event. Um, McIntyre and Leslie starting the show. I mean, can't get better, have a better way to start a Mania than literally your biggest star, right? I
I
think it
mean,
was discussed a couple months ago that they wanted McIntyre to be the first superstar to compete in front of the crowd.
yes, and I I really attribute this to uh, uh, Brock Lesnar. Going back to WrestleMania 35, he said, "Well, if we're not going on last, we're going on first." And now the first match of WrestleMania is now almost as important as the last match. Of course, this was pre-pandemic, so would it be a very interesting situation if this was one night. Um, if this was one night, it would still be Drew. and Bobby Lashley. And I mean that's really that's honestly I think all we can really say. Quite honestly,
Yeah.
there is there is one big rumor though.
Pertaining to Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch.
One of them. Now, you may have noticed that there's one particular female superstar who's not on the card.
Billy.
Bingo.
Billy
Now,
Bingo?
don't take this as gospel, but we could be getting an impromptu Becky Bailey match.
That would be pretty cool. The same interview with Stephanie McMahon where she announced that Bianca and Sasha will main event WrestleMania. She also mentioned that Becky Lynch had contacted her about one of the WWE superstars attacking her in the maternity ward of the hospital. I mean, I would see it. What about you, Scooter?
Uh, I mean, are we sure it's not Seth?
Well, I mean, woman superstar.
I mean, if Becky's the man. I mean,
Well, he would be in the. No, I'm not going there.
but I mean, the wrestling fans will put up with a lot. But will they? Can you really expect them to believe that someone was attacked in the maternity ward? Like that? That's even like even Tony Khan's going like, what are they smoking?
I
Vince
mean, it's
Russo
not
is
the
like,
first time they've done things in hospitals, Scooter.
true. And then again, it's a new era. I mean, Vince Russo is going like, you guys are fucking insane.
Well, it was Becky's idea.
Yeah, but was she still going through the epidural?
Maybe that's
I
a
mean,
conversation for another time.
I mean,
Um,
I mean, yes, that shows Becky's passion for the sport. That part of me thinks that Becky thinks that she might have been forgotten.
I mean, maybe a little bit. I mean, it's hard if you're not there, then you're out of sight, out of mind type thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And Sakura Genesis was last week as well. Will Ospreay is your new IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. Um, and he wasn't short on words to say. In his press conference, he had mentioned that he's the greatest British wrestler of all time, surpassing the British Bulldog, Pete Dunne, etc., etc. And he even went out of his way to mention Drew McIntyre and challenge him to a match. And CM Punk.
Oh, yes, that was the big thing he heard, and of course, CM Punk was contacted, and his response was, "Who?"
That's a Punk comment for you.
mean, Will Ospreay as IWGP champion. That's gonna take New Japan in probably a much different direction.
Yeah. The thing of it is, he is champion right now. And we said, Drew McIntyre and CM Punk. He is actually going to wrestle a single Takagi in his first defense. And then whoever wins that match, Will Ospreay, will go on to wrestle Kazuchika Okada at Wrestling Grand Slam in the Tokyo Dome on May 4th or 5th, I want to say. And yeah, I think Ospreay is just a transitional champion because once again, Okada is going to be one of the torchbearers for the Olympics, and you want that guy as your champion. Am I wrong here, Scooter?
That's an interesting. That's an interesting concept. That that to give Okada the belt so that it will look good on television around the world, basically.
I mean, most of the world watched the Olympics, so yeah.
The question is, how many people will actually see Okada's leg of the torch, running?
It's a good question. I mean, if it goes into the arena, then a lot of people. And all you need is uh that nameplate that says Kazuchika Okada, IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, and people will know.
I mean, can you just imagine Okada passing it off to, Dr. Anthony Fauci?
I think it's one of the torchbearers is the oldest woman in the world currently. She's 104.
Well, she may not be tomorrow.
August is a long time away. Um, of course, I'd be shocked if Ospreay actually wins that match. How do you think Ospreay's run is gonna go? He has a month with it.
I mean, would somebody who calls out all those names, would you really expect them to have a short run?
I mean, Jay White did.
Yeah, but do you remember White's press conference after winning?
I do.
Okay, I stand corrected. Then, yeah, Ospreay's transitional.
Alrighty then. I think that'll conclude our news for this week.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.